She turns on the camera, brushing mousy hair over her shoulder, and staring at it with sapphire eyes. She glares daggers at the lens, with a lipstick grin as she smooths out the wrinkles in her shirt. She smiles and says, "Let's talk about fanfiction." Hey guys, it's Amy here, back again with another video. When you make it big as a creator of any form of media, you are likely to have a fandom. A fandom, short for fan domain, is a group of people that typically congregate online to appreciate and talk about the show they particularly love. Activities involving creating stuff which they love in honor of this particular piece of work that they've created. Among them is fanfiction. But why is it so bad? Compare fanfiction's reputation to the reputation of fan art. Fan art includes drawing characters and painting characters, whether digitally or on actual paper. This is something many original content creators love to see and promote as a way for them to share the love of the show. Some original content creators actually include segments within their shows or whatever to promote the fan art that they do, such as Ruby creating merch based off fan art, or Critical Role having an entire section in their ad break dedicated to fan art. And then there's fanfiction. Stories based off the original content that explore the world in a new light. And it's probably one of the most joked about and shamed forms of content creation on the internet. Content creators don't look at fan art in their content as an appreciation. They look upon it as a joke. Today we're going to be looking at this shameful form of creative writing and fan appreciation. We're going to examine why it is so hated and if it is really considered a form of writing in of itself. Can it be compared to bestsellers, or does it belong in the pits of hell? Let's talk, lads. The main reason people don't give credit to fanfiction is because it's developed a reputation that makes it incomparable to the books that we buy on Amazon or on the shelf. Here are some reasons. Self-insert culture. The author of the fanfiction might not be exploring the world or pursuing the arts of creative writing. They create a character that is basically themselves, and they have them interact with the world to picture what they might be like with their fictional best friends and fictional crushes. Sexy levels. Fanfiction is notorious for making things absolutely sexual and horny to the point of discomfort. This is especially noted by 50 Shades of Grey, a Twilight fanfiction, and After, a One Direction fanfiction. Living out fantasies. Whether that relationship is with themselves or with two characters, the author is trying to make a relationship that doesn't normally exist in the story happen in this fanfiction instead. Their headcanon is top priority. And lastly, the main original character that the author has created has some bizarre supernatural overpowered thing going on that basically gives them plot armor, as they just tag along for the journey. In short, fanfiction is perceived as not putting the actual creative writing craft into the forefront. It exists for the pleasure of fans and for the pleasure of self. Thus, the following can occur. Mary suing. The act of making the character an unstoppable plot armor machine with no weaknesses. The plot isn't considered, and 90% of the content is just the characters confessing their love for each other. Nothing within the plot changes as the original character is added, and they're just tagging along for the ride. They don't serve any clear purpose. The plot is written as text formats or a script. So if you compared the Harry Potter fanfiction My Immortal to the bestseller The Book Thief, you can already see some very distinct differences, and you can already discern which one would be better literarily. And that can be putting it lightly. Now, before you go saying art is subjective here, let me be devil's advocate. Is what they're writing artistic in any way? Their own intentions do not match the same intentions that professional authors have when writing their stories. This is especially the case if all they're doing is just altering an existing story just for their personal pleasures. It's not fan fiction they're writing, it's fanfuction. As I mentioned before, the bizarre nature of these fanfictions can lead to these content creators seeking out bizarre ones on purpose to read, and thus it just boosts the reputation that fanfiction is not considered proper. It's not considered good. The public reputation is that it's trash. But is it really? Once upon a time, in my early years of high school, I was also a fanfiction writer. I know, scandalous. But is it really a scandal? In my early years of high school, I was already writing my early editions of ASTER'S CODA series, which were really terrible, and publishing them on the fanfiction cornucopia site Wattpad. And joining my site was my first experience and bits of exposure to the world of fanfiction. Not being into many shows at the time, I just investigated some very tame Harry Potter fanfictions. The ones that I started or even completed were pretty decent. Some of them even to the point where they could be publishable material in my eyes. Seeing this trend of rewriting stories to the way that you wanted to tell them was a huge eye-opener for me, so I decided to jump on the bandwagon. However, I had ambition. If I wrote Harry Potter fiction, then I knew it would get lost in the ocean. There was enough Percabeth fanfiction out there to sink a ship like Pico, and I was already sick of hearing my friends shriek about One Direction to write anything about them. I wanted to write something that I would enjoy and something that I'd like to have thought would have been seen. At the time, I had also gotten into the animated remake of the classic 1960s TV series Thunderbirds. Taking place in the 2060s, a group of 5 brothers worked together to stop natural disasters with their built-in machines and flying things. That was a very terrible way of describing it. They served as first responders in space or in situations where no ambulances or police could end up getting to there. Now, there was one thing that I noticed in this series. There weren't a great array of female characters in there. And Virgil was hot. So to solve these 2 pressing issues, I came up with Riley, a late teen dropout and wannabe black belt who was the daughter of a famous engineer. She took up an apprenticeship recommended by her father. After assisting International Rescue with the first in a line of seemingly suspicious crimes, she ends up getting a contract to join them on their secret island and fight with them. Antics ensue, including Virgil developing a crush on Riley, Alan and Riley having the most entertaining food ever, and Riley constantly questioning Scott's authority as the leader of International Rescue. I wound up using Riley and her subplots intertwined with the world, such as her ex working for the big bad evil guy, to tie all the episodic plot points together, thus creating one cohesive narrative across the series. And from it, I created a lot of fun character dynamics and really got to understand the writing craft a lot better, the narrative structure especially. It ended up being really fun, until I got bored of it and decided to let it go. But here's the thing, Riley was a flawed character. I ended up building the world and putting the narrative into consideration. Nothing ever got R-rated. So is it really fanfiction? Is it okay that it doesn't have the same reputation? In my thoughts over the recent 2 years, I have pondered the question, is there a line between fanfiction and narrative published works? During this, I have dubbed what I ended up writing as fan literature, a middle ground between the crappiness of fanfiction and the godliness of published works. Fan literature combines the purpose of both literary genres, writing something to pursue the writing craft while also showing your appreciation of something that is pre-existing and creating something new from it. It served as an easy way to study character, world building, narrative, and all without taking on the whole process and having to build everything from scratch. For a fan of a show, this can be very easy. They already know the characters and the world inside out, so it should be no trouble for you to be able to write a story based on what you already know about this world and even take it in a new direction. But I recently wondered if it was bad to distinguish the good from the ugly in such a way. Going back to the purpose of fanfiction, to create a fantasy out of pre-existing fiction. Some readers may not want to read a Shakespearean take on their favorite ship. They may just want content that relates to this particular thing and to consume it like oxygen. Erin Kinsella makes an excellent point on her video on fanfiction, where she says that readers may just be looking for extreme joy or feels relating to that particular aspect of a story that they can no longer get from the original content. They just want more content to express their love for their fandom. Want to make a community out of it by talking about this thing. Extreme feels! They're not ready to let go of what they love so dearly. So this is a way that they can still explore the world and the themes and the characters just through someone else's eyes. It's easy to see how jarring this can be for a general audience, especially when the most well-known fan fictions are very weird sexual fantasies. Mainstream media doesn't care for a teen staying up late under their covers, typing out a story on their phone for something they don't want to gain monetary value for. Which is pretty ironic considering how popular fanfiction really is, and it is based off of something else, while films these days can't get enough of sequels. So in conclusion, is fanfiction valid? Yeah, it is. We just have to remember that we've all got different needs and expectations when it comes to storytelling. We cannot put another person down for something that we do not like. While fanfiction does have similarities and differences from mainstream media, it's still media. It contains stories that many people and stuck-up corporations don't want to make. It has been the building blocks for many future authors to build up their writing skills, such as myself, and it builds a grand sense of community. Let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below. Apart from that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to give it a like and subscribe if you're new around here. Ring that bell so you can find out when I post more creative content. And you can also check me down below on my Instagram, my Twitter, and my website. Stay creative, everybody, and I'll be seeing you in the next video. Bye!